Normally, we think of the secular sometimes as an obstacle to us, but part of what I want to present is that the secular is not our enemy. Certainly, it is in the business of narrating us, saying who we are as religious and what our works mean or don't mean. But also, if we really believe that God is present in all things, God is also active and working in the secular and calling us to new ways of being there. So the secular can be refreshing for us, but also it's an important moment for our planning because, as the Pope says, we're not just in a change of epoch, we're in an epochal change. I think that's an important insight for us because the secular is part of that. When people enter a church, they don't stop being secular or they don't stop being postmodern. These ideas are given to us, these dispositions are given to us, and we bring those also into our religious environment. The key idea here is that understanding that context, understanding that environment, and the way in which it plays out and shapes what we think we can do, what we think we need to do, how we think about things, that becomes really important. So the first move here is to understand what I call hard secularization or the hard secular. And that's the ideologically determined secular. It has its own vision of the way in which the world should be and the way in which human beings should be. And religion is seen as an obstacle to that. But then there's the soft secular. That's the secular that is just part and parcel of our daily lives. We don't think deeply about it. We don't reflect upon it very much, but it's there. It's there in the media. It's there in what we read. It's part of the way in which we engage with one another. It forms part of the belief structure or the structure of our understanding of our contemporary situation. So we explore all of that and try to look on its impact on planning. As I said, the secular and the way in which it narrates it, the values that it brings, the whole idea of a secular spirituality even, begins also to have an internal impact. I want to use there a model of cultural differentiation, cultural change, used by an organizational theorist called Edgar Schein. And one of the key ideas that Schein is talking about is a sort of pyramid in which you start with basic assumptions, the fundamental governing assumptions, which then translate into espoused values. Those are our operative values. And finally, what they may produce in terms of our planning, our works, the direction we go in, how we frame what we want to say, what we believe our works are trying to achieve. My point being that we need to attend to this culture, our own culture, because if our basic assumptions are somehow eroded, or we lose confidence in them, or they're changing too, and we don't attend to that, then whatever planning we do will not be laid well. My fundamental thesis is that the modern or the secular modernity is itself in crisis. And that crisis is because it has its own narrative of what I would call its own soteriological narrative. Its offer of salvation without God, scientific progress, freedom, industrial progress, all of those things come into play. In other words, we can build our own world and it will be a better world in which poverty, sickness, all the rest of it can be eroded and done away with. But we know that that's not the case. We know that even with the best intentions, that cannot be delivered. And part of the symptom of what I'm calling the crisis of the secular is actually the resistance and the critique that it finds with postmodernity. I think that's also important for us when we're planning, because that also offers us a new way of thinking about our mission or our role in the secular, not to destroy or eradicate the secular, but actually how can we help the secular achieve its noble aims. And so we're coming here with a new horizon, which invites us to reimagine our situations. And it's out of that reimagining that our planning comes. So whatever our planning entails, it's actually putting God first. It's actually having confidence in God so that we can plan in deep faith, in the secular, and also hope. Hope that God is acting there and will use us well if we give ourselves completely and with confidence to what God is asking of us.